Hey guys, so in a previous video we looked at the fundamentals of flams, just the basics of what a flam is and how it should sound, how the motion should look, and just some very basic beats, snare only, and then incorporating the bass drum and pressing on the hi-hat. Today we're going to take it a step further. We're going to start to have some regular drum beats that we're going to build up, and we're going to incorporate flams into those beats. So before we dive into it, again, if you don't have any familiarity with flams at all, then please watch the previous video in this series. The link to it is going to be in the description below. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to have two very fundamental beats that we're going to build up over a series of different exercises. Note that on every single one of these exercises, we're going to do a left-handed flam. So the left hand is going to be a full motion stroke. It's going to land on the beat. Right hand is going to be not as high of a motion stroke. It's going to land just before the beat. For this first exercise, it's very basic beat. It's almost got a "We Will Rock You" kind of feel from that Queen song. Bass drum is going to be landing on 1 and, snare on 2, and then bass drum 3 and snare on 4. And then the right hand is going to be filling in eighth notes on the hi-hat, except for it's going to come back to the snare for the flam. Okay, so let's build on top of that earlier exercise. The hand pattern is going to be exactly the same. It's going to be snare on 2 and 4 as flams. The bass drum is going to get a little bit more complicated though. So now we're going to do pairs of 16th notes. And this little kind of upbeat 16th note on the bass drum, that might give you a little bit of a, throw you a little bit for a loop. But we're going to be building on top of this more, so it is important to kind of get this under your belt now. Okay, so whereas the last exercise 2, gave you a more complicated bass drum pattern, now we're going to give you a more complicated snare pattern. So we're going to go back to exercise 1 almost as a starting point, and we're going to add in some extra snare hits there. So, like I said, exercise 2 was to kind of get us built up more on more bass drum hits, on more complex bass drum hits. Here we're trying to build up more complex hand patterns. Okay, so now we're gonna really kick it up a notch. We're gonna build on top of everything we've had, and we're gonna even take it to the next level from there. We're gonna be doing straight double bass, and we're gonna have a very complex, very involved hand pattern, where the right hand is effectively alternating back and forth between the hi-hat and the snare. Okay, so I think those first 4 exercises, I think we've gotten quite a lot out of those. Let's try to change things up a little bit for exercise number 5. The feel is going to be completely different here. One important thing to know as far as the feel is concerned is that you'll see that we have a flam hit, and we're following that immediately with a bass drum hit and a hi-hat together. So this is really kind of the fundamental of the feel of this beat, and we're going to be building on top of that the whole time. You'll also see that this is split up in 2 measures, and the second measure has almost like a bit of a tail. This extra snare hits at the end of it, and that kind of gives us a little bit of a swaying back and forth feel. Okay, for exercise 6, we're just building on top of number 5. You'll see that we are making the hi-hat and the bass drum a little bit more involved, a little bit more complex. You'll also see that tail I was mentioning at the end, those extra snare hits at the end, we're converting one of those standard hits into a flam. All right, now let's take this to the next level. We're gonna do this exercise number 7. We're gonna be building on top of that. We got the hi-hat and the bass drum are gonna be completely locked in together. There's gonna be quite a lot of flams on this beat, and you'll see that there's almost kind of like a cool little groove going on between the snare and the bass. So hopefully you guys have been working on the flams, you've been getting your feel together. Now with these exercises, I hope you can see how you can take normal beats that you have and how you might be able to start to incorporate the flams. You might be able to build on top of what you're already doing. The next step, of course, is how do we start to incorporate flams into our fills? And that is going to be the topic of the next video in this series, which will be coming out next month. So if you don't want to miss out on that, then don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, peace.